this morning for me. Here we go, vocab, week 2. Now, we didn't have a video last week, but this week's our first video. It'll be on the website. Feel free to use this to study and look over things however you need to. All right, boom, let's do this. All right, so we have 10 words. They're all pretty good. The first one is pedantic. It's an adjective. It means to pick over every little detail, no matter how small. Now, to be pedantic can be a good thing, but people pretty much never use it that way. They always use it to be critical of someone else who's being overly fussy and nitpicky, all right? It's someone who maybe gets hung up on details without seeing the big picture. Now, the noun form, what you would call a person, is a pedant, but really, like, only a pedant would call someone that because it's a pretty nerdy thing to do. All right, so an example would be something like, okay, you're right, the tires are low on the car, but you're being pedantic. We're still out of gas. Someone who's not seeing the big picture, well, we gotta put air in the tires. Maybe we should put gas in the car first. That's gonna be more important. So as the cartoon here says, at the ATM it says enter PIN number, because that's what everybody says, even though the N stands for number in PIN. So you don't have to say PIN number, so it says pedant enter PIN. And that guy, well, he clearly looks like a pedant, let's put it that way. Pragmatic. I like to think of myself as pragmatic, but maybe I'm not. Maybe you'll be able to tell me. It's an adjective. It's something something's described as pragmatic when it's focused on realistic solutions or the most direct course of action versus being the ideal or theoretical idea. You'll find this in group meetings and group projects you have. Someone says, but what if we do this? What if you do that? And you go, what? How about we just do something that works? You know, let's just go and be direct about this. Now, in the noun form, someone who is pragmatic is called a pragmatist. So please be pragmatic. We need to find real solutions fast. And train unicorns, while awesome for travel, don't exist. Something like that. You can read the comic yourself. Let's see, moving on. Relegate. Now, this is a verb. To relegate something is to put it down, like ignore it or insult it, or to dismiss it or to demote it to a lower rank. Right? If something is relegated, it's moved down from its status to a lower status. Now, if you had a chef at a restaurant, right, and the boss was mad at them, they can relegate them to dishwasher status and put them in the dish pit. All right. Someone can relegate a student who's been doing good work, but then they insult the teacher and they put them in a boring class doing non-interesting work or something. That's not accurate. A teacher couldn't do that. Better example would be something like, oh heck. Find your own example. Actually, the comic here has a really good example of it. All right, sage. This is going to be a little confusing. As it says here at the top, it's a noun, it's an adjective, and then it's a noun again. We're looking at those first two, all right? Noun, adjective, not the other noun. So a sage as the first noun is someone who's extremely wise. Think about like a wise man, a monk, an old woman who's full of wonderful advice and wisdom. Now, as an adjective, you use it to call something else wise. He had sage advice for me, right? Something like that. But the weird thing is, it's also an herb used in cooking, right? So if you look for sage, like you do a Google search, which I did for this, all you're going to get is the sage, the leaf. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like Yoda, who like teaches you things because he is very sage. He's very wise, and he is a sage, all right? In some cultures, they use it for like sage, the last noun, is like a medicine, things like that, but anyway. Ubiquitous. It's an adjective. For some reason, one of my images won't show up here. I had a spinner here. That would be helpful. So picture a spinner here, and then picture the magazine. So ubiquitous is an adjective. It's something that is ubiquitous is everywhere. You see it all the time, all over the place, right? iPhones, the music that you all listen to, that I hear everywhere, like Taylor Swift or I don't know who they are. I deliberately ignore them. You know, trashy celebrity magazines and celebrity gossip, the Kardashians, spinners, fidget spinners, all the things that you just see them everywhere. Those things are ubiquitous. Now, ubiquitous isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it has a little bit of a slightly negative connotation to it because it's so everywhere. You could kind of say that those things become banal, like our word last week. All right, myriad. This is a noun. It's sometimes used as an adjective. A myriad is a huge number of something, a countless number of this thing. People kind of use it hyperbolically of, there are myriad solutions of how we can, solve the debt crisis. I don't know. You'll hear it in political speeches quite a bit. But that's hyperbolic. It's supposed to be uncountable. There aren't uncountable solutions to anything. Weirdly, the word's origins, it meant exactly 10,000. If you had a myriad of soldiers, you had a company of not a company, a group of 10,000 soldiers. But now it just is lots of stuff. So that's why I have Captain Kirk with all the tribbles, which is a super geeky reference kind of in Miss Douglas's honor. See, an orator, this is a noun. An orator is someone who's very gifted at public speaking. Now, there are other forms of this word. Oratorical would be used to describe the set of skills. His oratorical skills are excellent, something like that. Oratory is the skill itself. He's very good at oratory. But more often than not, you're going to hear the first one, someone who is an orator. Now, whatever you may think of former President Barack Obama, he is a magnificent orator. He is one of the greatest speakers in history. I'd say he's really good. And indeed, his political career is really, whether you like him or not, was kicked off because of his skills as an orator. Well, it kicked off for the national stage when he was a young junior senator and he gave the speech at the Democratic Convention. That's when people said, hey, maybe this guy could be president. In addition to his substance as a man, his gift as a speaker is really quite amazing. All right, a paragon. Now this is a noun. A paragon is the absolutely perfect example of any particular thing. It's a person who embodies a particular trait. Mr. Bowman being the paragon of excellent teaching. All right, that's not true, but I wish it was. But Mr. T is the paragon of everything I loved as a child. I still love Mr. T. If I ever meet him, I don't think I get starstruck for many people. But if I meet Mr. T, guaranteed I'm going to start crying. And I'm going to ask him to hug me as though he's my dad. It's going to get weird. I love him. And that video there is his rap video, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is completely insane. And then Key and Peele did a spoof of it, which is also excellent. All right, melancholy. Melancholy is a noun and it's an adjective. It's a feeling of deep sadness and a lack of enthusiasm. Now, it isn't quite depression, all right? They're not exactly the same. Melancholy is a little bit more like sustained and consistent, and it's not nearly as intense. It's oh, Mom, I'm sad. I just have a melancholy. It's kind of like when you don't have energy and you watch the rain. You just have a sigh, general sadness. All right, that's what it is. I had a picture of Eeyore here, but it won't pop up. So just picture Eeyore. He's supposed to be right there. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. You can use it as an adjective. You can feel melancholy. Right? But even though you can use it as an adjective, there is a solely adjectival form of it, which is melancholic. So I don't know. But usually people just use it as a noun or as an adjective, but in the form melancholy. People usually don't say melancholic, although it's actually the right way. All right, here's quibble. Quibble's a noun and it's a verb. So a quibble is a minor disagreement between two people or two groups, or I suppose it could be more, but it's a small point being picked over. Usually, if you have a quibble, you overall agree. Like the main point, the big idea, your general relationship, you're on board, everything's good. But there's one sticking point. And you're like, well, but except for this, I have a quibble with this. So you have a quibble, or you are quibbling with their point. The noun and the verb mean essentially the same thing. It's just how it's presented in a sentence. But listen, if you disagree with me about Mr. T, that's not a quibble. That's serious. Now, I'm so sad one of these pictures didn't show up. There's a picture right here of Mr. T hugging a Muppet. So just know, Mr. T was on the Muppet Show, all right? Here he is with First Lady Nancy Reagan, and she's giving him a kiss while sitting on his lap, and he's dressed as Santa Claus. What more do you need? He had his own breakfast cereal, and I ate it all the time. It was amazing. All right, well, there it is. That's the vocab for the week. There's no idiom of the week because I didn't feel like it, and I wasn't going to quiz you on it, but maybe I'll add them in every so often. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Uh-oh, it's going to be embarrassing. Everyone's going to know I can't get it to stop. It's going to be bad. Stop.